Hypatia is the first notable female mathematician and philosopher in history. Hypatia lived during the 4th century in Alexandria, Egypt. During that time, Alexandria was a center for learning. Her father was a philosopher and scholar as well. He raised her in this environment and encouraged her intellectual and physical health. Hypatia taught mathematics, philosophy, and astronomy, and later became head of the Platonist school at Alexandria. She had surpassed the expertise of her father. Students traveled far distances to hear her teach. She was held in high esteem for not only her teaching, but her virtue and her civic-mindedness as well. She is noted as being the inventor of the plane astrolabe, the graduated brass hydrometer, and the hydroscope. Although there is evidence that the astrolabe was invented as early as a century before Hypatia's time, there is no evidence that Hypatia had any of her own writings in mathematics. However, she did write several commentaries on the works of her colleagues. These commentaries made the works more understandable for students, as well as helping to preserve the works for future generations. She wrote on works such as Ptolemy's The Almagest, Apollonius's Conics, Archimedes' Dimensions of the Circle, and several works by Diophantus. Hypatia was ahead of her time in many other ways than academics. She did not dress in women's clothing, rather she wore the clothes of a scholar. Women were not allowed to walk in the streets on their own. She not only walked through the streets alone, she drove her own chariot through the streets. She also had considerable influence on the politics of the time. The Christians of that era were angered by her behaviors. In 415, a Christian mob brutally murdered her and burned her body. Much of her work was also destroyed during the fighting of the time. Socrates Scholasticus wrote, "There was a woman at Alexandria named Hypatia, daughter of the philosopher Theon, who had such attainments in literature and science as to far surpass all of the philosophers of her own time. Having succeeded to the school of Plato, Plotinus, she explained the principles of philosophy to her auditors, many of whom came from a distance to receive her instructions. On account of the self-possession and ease of manner, which she had acquired in consequence of the cultivation of her mind, she not unfrequently appeared in public in presence of the magistrates. Neither did she feel abashed in going to an assembly of men, for all men, on account of her extraordinary dignity and virtue, admired her